Get ready for your weekly dose of pixie dust with Disney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast. I'm Jeff DePaoli, and in just a couple of days after this episode is released, Season 2 of High School Musical, the series, will be released on Disney+. So today, I have a chat with Frankie A. Rodriguez, who you may know better as Carlos from the Day 1 Disney Plus hit series. During our conversation, we discuss what it was like working on the show, some of the special events he performed at, like the D23 Expo, what it was like shooting the second season during the pandemic, and even a little bit about what we can expect during Season 2. So get your head in the game and get ready for my conversation with Frankie right after this. This past week, Disney fans got very excited about the announced Muppets Haunted Mansion coming to Disney Plus this Halloween season. So I think it's time to start prepping your wardrobe for a viewing party with a recent addition to the Who's Its and What's Its collection, the Haunted Room t-shirt. After all, Halloween is just 6 months away. Over at who'sitswhatsits.com, they're regularly adding new magically inspired apparel with nods to Disney favorites. And Disney Coast to Coast listeners can save 15% off of their entire order simply by using code DCTC when at checkout. So go ahead and click on the link in this episode's description, browse the numerous items from shirts to hats to beanies, patches, jewelry, scarves, and so much more. And don't forget to use code DCTC at checkout to save 15% off of your entire order.
Prepare for some insight. You've tuned in to an exclusive DCTC interview.
Hello, Frankie, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast. Thanks for being here today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I need to start with a very important question before we go back to the beginning of this experience for you. And the question is, Team Ricky or Team EJ?
Oh my gosh. I think I have to say both of them. I can't have one for different reasons.
Well, I'm all Team Ricky, so there we go. But of course, High School Musical, the series, and yes, every time I mention it, I will say the full title, and I expect you to as well. In fact, yes. Anybody listening, if they want to make it a drinking game, go ahead and do it.
Ooh.
But, as an actor, sometimes you need to take jobs regardless of your thoughts on the material. And on the show, your character, in fact, says, I've seen the original movie 37 times and the first 15 minutes of both sequels, which is a great line. But I am curious, were you a fan of High School Musical before you got involved with it?
Oh my gosh, of course. I think it's such a big part of pop culture. It's kind of hard to miss out on that wave. But that line was kind of true. I had seen the movie a million times. And then the second movie, I always finished halfway through. Like for some reason, I never got through it. And then the third one, I didn't get a chance to see. But now I've seen all three of them. And I love all of them.
Do you have a favorite? Is the original still the one?
I do love the original, but I think the music, the visuals in the third one are just so fun. So
because that one went to theaters, right?
Yes. So
yes.
It's a little more high budget.
Yeah, bigger budget. They were shooting on film probably. Yes, I forgot about that. It did have a very, very different look. But that's cool. So you were a fan of it. You were familiar with it. I mean, you were young when the first one came out. You might have been like the perfect age. I was kind of too old for it when it came out. And like at first really was like, this is ridiculous. And then like as I got older, I was like, I don't give a crap if if this is made for kids, I'm going to watch it. And I ended up like falling in love with it. And I don't know, in a weird way. Like it was just stupid fun. And I loved it.
It's hard not to love it. It's just it's kind of like Grease. It's just so like campy and fun. And it like reminds you of just a different time. It is a time capsule though. If you try to watch it now, you're like, oh my gosh, a flip phone.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I will say, and I'm not just saying this because you're on here, I actually prefer the series over the movies. As much as I love the movies.
Oh, wow.
I really love the series. Like, it's so much fun. Had you ever seen a stage production of it or done a stage production of it?
Yes, my first high school production was a production of High School Musical, and I played Ryan.
Oh.
And I'm sure I've seen a few productions of it. Maybe not, actually. I don't know if I've ever seen it live.
Yeah, I have not. It's one of those shows that I'm sure is done a ton, especially at high schools, but I don't see a ton of regional theaters doing it or anything. So I've never seen it on stage, but I would like to. I think that would be fun.
Oh my gosh.
You guys should go on tour. There we go.
Oh my God. Yes, put that out there. I would love that.
Excellent. Well, I believe the world's introduction to you guys, the cast, was the epic performance at the Disney Plus D23 Expo panel in 2019. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I was in that audience, and that was such a high energy moment. Like, that ended up being my favorite panel of the weekend. And
oh my God, that's so fun.
Oh, it was so much. I mean, what was that experience like? I mean, were you guys terrified? I mean, this was it's really hard. You're taking something super, super, super iconic in the Disney fandom. And you're like, we're putting our spin on it, which I think is a genius spin, by the way, and we'll get to that. But I don't know, was it nerve-wracking to be like, yeah, we're going to do it, and we're going to just take this thing that is huge and do our version of it?
I remember not really understanding how big of an event it was going to be until we walked in to the rehearsal for the first time, because we rehearsed it and we had been performing together for a second. We were also in rehearsals for, I think, like Good Morning America and like so other things. So we had all been together, and so we were kind of had like a rhythm going. And I just remember like a few executives from, I think, either Disney or D23 had come to a few rehearsals, and they were like, this is like a big deal. Like, there's going to be a lot of people. And so in my head as a performer, thinking a lot of people, okay, so like a Broadway, like kind of style house, like that amount of people. I was not expecting that many people. That was crazy. So I think we were nervous once we got there. And the fact that we didn't really have rehearsal on that stage, I remember we had to like be in some basement or something. And so, and we also didn't anticipate how long the stage was going to be. So I haven't watched that performance back, but I'm sure we are jogging that entire time. But like, I'll tell you what, like just after that performance alone, just because I had, of course, being a theater kid, I hadn't done theater in such a long time. So to hear like an applause, I was like, oh my God, I love this. I feel like I just like went on a roller coaster or something.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was it was literally the beginning of that panel, and it put so much energy in that space. I believe it's 8,000 seats, maybe 10,000, something like that. It was a lot of people.
Crazy.
Yeah, and so I take it you'd never been to a D23 Expo before that then?
No, I was never brave enough to go to a D23 Expo. Like I just get so nervous. Like I'll think about like, oh my God, where do you park? And like, will I be able to find my car? And like, is there food there? But after seeing that whole, like what it is, I would definitely love to go back and like get to walk around, because we didn't get to do any of that stuff.
Well, let me say your concerns are valid, because the convention in general, those are all valid concerns, but it is so worth it. I mean, I've literally gone to every single D23 Expo for every single day since they've started them.
Wow.
And it's, now when it comes back next year, it'll be 3 years, because it was supposed to be this year and it was canceled for obvious reasons. But it's, because it's every other year, it's this big special event. It's like going away to camp for a weekend. And wow. I highly suggest it. Maybe like go in costume in disguise or something, so you don't get attacked when you go.
It's like a baby Yoda or something.
Yeah, exactly. Fun. Well, as I mentioned, I love the concept of this show where Troy Bolton is not a real person, but Zac Efron is. It is a very meta show, and I think that that's a lot of fun. And, since you were a fan of the original film, what was it like going and shooting in that same location from the original film franchise? Was that like exciting for you guys?
I mean, of course, we had gotten there a few weeks before we had started filming for pre-production. And so I didn't even think to like go drive by the school or to like go like walk around until my first day of filming. And so just to be on set there in a brand new environment with like tons of people, I just remember it was like a crazy day. It kind of almost felt like you know, like when someone's you're like involved in a wedding and it's like that weird energy, like where you don't know what to do, but it's like such a big deal. But you're also just excited to be there. It was kind of something like that where it was just like, oh my gosh, like what do I do? But no, it was crazy exciting.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this was like the biggest gig you'd had. Like,
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, just to like have a series regular role on a Disney show. I mean, that's always been the dream. So I was like, oh, my head was like spinning.
That's so exciting. What was the moment like when you found out you got the role? Like, was it a tough audition process for you, or?
No, it was actually probably one of the easiest auditions I've ever had. And I think that was partly due to the creative and the casting. They were just so nice and just very consistent. So I think I had like 2 scenes I had to read and 2 songs I had to sing, and it never changed. So I think after a total of 5 auditions, by the 5th one, I was like, yeah, okay, I think I know what to expect when I go in there. But which I didn't, because the last one was the like the executive callback one where there's like 30 people in like this tiny little room. So that was kind of, that one threw me for a loop. But no, it was definitely easy and like fun. And that's what I loved about it. I was like, oh, this is fun.
That's awesome. And yeah, people listening probably don't know, like, people obviously know that actors audition for stuff, but when you get down to the nitty gritty, when it's down to you, like the amount of people who have to ultimately say yes to you, it's insane. And it's executives. It's people who are not creative whatsoever. It's people who look at spreadsheets all day who have to basically say like, yeah, that'll do. Like, and it's talk about intimidating. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to think about it like that, because if I do, my head will just spiral. But the cool thing is that it is like when you get to like that final callback, it is kind of like a play in a way where you're like, now you're performing for an audience and you get to actually see the way the material is landing. So I think that part of it was comforting, just to hear like more than 3 people in a room laugh. You're just like, okay, so this is going well.
That's cool. I love that you guys shot at the original location, and I am nerdy enough that I actually went to, are you familiar with the Inn at Entrada in Utah, which is where High School Musical 2 was shot? And I went and spent you've seen the second movie, so that beautiful resort.
Oh, like the Lava Springs?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
I went and spent a weekend there because I was like, what? I was watching the movie one time and I was just like, this place is gorgeous. Where is this? And I look it up and it's like 2 hours past Vegas. I was like, you know what? Weekend getaway. Let's do it. And we did it, and it was spectacular. So,
is there stuff to do there? Like, or is it just like surrounded by nothing?
Well, it's a golf course. The thing that really got me over the edge was at the time I had never seen a stage production of The Little Mermaid musical, which is my favorite Disney animated film. Okay. And right next door is a theater. I'm forgetting the name of the theater.
Tuacahn.
Yes, Tuacahn Amphitheater. Okay. Literally like 10 minutes down the street. And they were doing a production of Little Mermaid that summer. And I was like, let's time this. Let's go stay at the Inn at Entrada and go see Little Mermaid. And it was a super nerdy weekend, and I don't regret it at all.
No, oh my God, that sounds like a perfect weekend.
In fact, you could borrow DVDs from the front desk, and of course they had all the High School Musical movies, and they give you like fresh cookies every morning. I was like, all right, this place is a win in my book. And we like hung out. I think it was August, so it was in the middle of the summer. It was really hot. And so like nobody was there. It's in the desert, so nobody was there. Oh. So like we had that pool to ourselves where they shot all those scenes in the film. And I will say, you cannot jump off those rocks that like Zac Efron did. There's a sign that says like no climbing, no jumping. And, oh my God. Yeah. But it was the exception to the rule. It was a very nerdy weekend. But yeah, that's so much fun. Now your character is a choreographer and kind of the drama teacher's assistant on the show. Do you consider yourself to be more of a dancer with a lot of choreo knowledge? Or is this a lot of acting for you?
It is a lot of acting. Someday I hope to have an Emmy for this performance of being the choreographer, because it does involve a lot of acting. I did like musical theater dance type stuff, but never like the crazy stunts and things that the dancers on our show do. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, was that like a big learning curve for you? Or I don't know. I feel like for someone who's not a dancer to be like, okay, I really need to, because dancers are watching you and they're going to have opinions. So,
oh my gosh. Well, I think good editing, and I think our choreographer, Zach Woodley, who really does know how. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a terrible dancer, but the learning steps and stuff isn't always the easiest for me. But he really does this like perfect balance of pushing yourself to like be better, but also not in a way that's going to look awkward on your body or that's going to like make you look bad. Like he always wants everything to look great and solid. And so I'm just thankful for him and his patience.
That's awesome. Now, in the earlier episodes, we don't really see you perform too much as you're not actually in the production of High School Musical, the musical. Was that frustrating for you? Because, you know, you're a theater kid at heart in real life. So was it like, oh, I want to be in the show?
It was a lot of FOMO. I will tell you, I expected it from the very beginning because I was like, oh, well, it wouldn't make sense that he's in the show. So I didn't even like try to connect myself to a character within the High School Musical script. But when I had a friend in town when they were rehearsing the big "We're All in This Together" and Status Quo scenes, and we like stopped by at a rehearsal, and just to see the set and everybody's like all dressed up, I was like, oh, now I like want to be in this. I didn't realize like how epic it was going to be.
Well, on the flip side of that, because you're not in the show and you're working with the director, Miss Jen, you work with her more than a lot of the other actors, which is awesome. First of all, the looks that you give Miss Jen are gold. I just love the looks. That's fantastic. But can you talk a little bit about working with Kate Reinders, who played Miss Jen on the show?
I mean, she is the literal best, both on camera and off. She kind of like made herself the mom of the group, and she totally lives up to that expectation. But working with her truly is like a masterclass in acting, because it's kind of crazy to work with her so closely and just see how different every take is going to be, how consistent she is, and just how thoughtful she is as an actress. And so that I respect so much. And then when I watch it back on the show, there's just so much that I missed being up close with her. So then to like watch it back and like learn more from her, that I mean, I want to be her.
Yeah, she's a really great character on the show. I love that. And the interesting thing about the show is it's shot mockumentary style, which is, you know, we see a lot these days, shows like Modern Family and of course The Office, where the characters talk to the camera quite a bit, and your character certainly does. I'm curious, have y'all been given a reason as to who you're talking to or why there's a documentary crew following these kids?
Not yet, but it's definitely a question I've asked since like the beginning of like, why these kids? But then you have to think like it is the school where High School Musical happened. So like, why wouldn't a camera crew want to be like, who are these kids that actually go here? But I know maybe that's like something that's revealed at the end or something.
Well, it's interesting because some shows, like I don't think Modern Family ever answered that question, and I believe The Office did. So it's one of those things that I think audiences are just like, okay, this is an option. This, you know, there's multicam sitcoms, there's single cams, there's the mockumentary, and we kind of just accept it. But I'm always curious. I'm like, why are these people being followed? Are they like uncomfortable with it? Because none of them ever seem to be uncomfortable with it. And I would love a payoff of a reason.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that would be fun. I don't know. I don't know who's filming them or for what reason, but
we're going to write it right now. I just came up with this. But let's say somebody who was a documentarian who was doing the behind the scenes footage for the original High School Musical series DVDs heard about this story about you guys doing the production at the high school where the movie was shot. I was like, okay, we're doing it again. We're going back. I loved those DVD special features, and we're doing it with this cast. And there we go.
There you go. Maybe we're just filming one of those things like that Kristen Bell show on Disney Plus where it's like they go back to high school.
Oh my gosh. Yes, Encore. Okay. I love Encore. Oh my gosh. I've had Adam Wachter on the podcast, who's the musical director on Encore, and he would love this. I think it would be so much fun if there was a crossover Encore High School Musical, the series event.
Just like tie it all in together.
The Disney Plus universe, as if there aren't enough universes that Disney owns.
I love it.
I love it too. So you guys had Lucas Grabeel on the show, who played Ryan in the original movies, and there were some other smaller cameos from the original series as well. Did you guys get any set visits of folks that maybe we didn't see on camera who were involved with the original films? Anything from Kenny Ortega or anything like that?
Well, the cool thing about filming in Utah is that a lot of the dancers there and from the original franchise were local hires.
Okay.
And so we got to meet a lot of them at the very beginning. We did like a screening of the first movie. And so we got to meet a lot of those people. And then there was also a connection with one of our dancers. Her mother-in-law was the choreographer for the original movie. So it's like really super in the family over there. We also shared a lot of the same crew members. So that thing was cool. But the Kenny Ortega at D23, we got to meet him, and then also Corbin Bleu. And so just to hear it from them that they loved the show, that was like, the rite of passage. It was like, oh my God, okay, we're in good graces. But that was, it's Kenny Ortega. He's like responsible for like most of the world's childhood. So, that was amazing.
That's awesome. So the Utah community, are they like still excited about this High School Musical stuff that's going on there at this point, or are they kind of over it?
It seems like they love it. I don't know if anything changed because of COVID, but they had visiting hours for the high school. So you could go to the high school during a certain time almost every day. And it's open. The campus was open. So maybe I should like not be saying that. I'm like, go. The set is open. But they have like maps at the front, and it has like little like stars on where they filmed certain things and certain scenes. And so you can like take this map and like walk around the school. And they have like a gift shop. It is like, they have like a whole shrine to the whole franchise. I think they love it.
Okay, they have definitely embraced it more than even I realized. That's pretty cool.
For sure.
That's awesome. Do you and the rest of the cast, do you guys have group viewing parties, or you guys kind of spread out all over the country? Did any of you get together to watch the episodes?
If we have the opportunity to, we would usually take it. I think last year we were kind of, I think it's hard when the show is out because we're not all together. We're kind of like all over, right now we're all over the world. So I think it would be hard to do some sort of viewing party.
Yeah, for sure. Have you revisited season 1 since, it first came out?
Yeah. So when we first got into quarantine, me and Joe Serafini, who plays Seb on the show, we did like a live tweet with us while we like binged the whole first season. So that I kind of did that. And then like here and there, like little clips and stuff of just like stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, I just revisited it to prepare for this interview, and I hadn't seen it since it first came out, which honestly at this point is like a year and a half ago, which is crazy to think about. It still feels like such a new show. And I was just so delighted to revisit it. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I did this, because like I knew I loved it, and then I was rewatching like, no, I really love this show. Like this is such a fun show. This is event TV for me. Most people are tuning in for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I'm like, when's the next episode of High School Musical, the musical, the series? So much fun. You have such an endearing moment your character has in season 1 when he reveals the creation of High School Musical, the Choosicle, the board game. And how cool was this prop? Okay, we never got a really good close-up of it, but like, did you look at this thing, and was it even playable, do you think? And how much fun?
I don't know if it was actually playable, but I will take a wild, like, just guess and say that it was, because the art department and the props department on the show are kind of unreal. And so they do like those little details in there. But that prop, I remember they were just like, be careful, like you have to hold it like this. And it was kind of heavy too. So they were just like, and like, if you have to open it this way or this is going to pop out. There was just, that was a stressful day.
So it sounds like you didn't get to keep it, sadly.
No, I kept something from it, though. They gave me something, like I don't know if it's a card or like some broken piece off of it or something. I'll have to go take a look.
It was such a sweet moment on the show just to think of your character playing it for the first time, because before then nobody would play it with them. Amazing. One of the things I always find hilariously unrealistic on shows and movies about theater are the backstage antics that happen on opening nights, and High School Musical, the series certainly doesn't disappoint with that ridiculousness. I gotta know though, as a theater person, like this whole, oh my gosh, somebody's no longer in the show and somebody else who has never rehearsed this role is going in. Like, what do you think when you see these things in the scripts and stuff? And I always want to know, is anybody buying this? Like, even non-theater people at home, does anybody think that this is how it works?
I think it's hilarious the way like things switch out so quick, and how they're just so savvy about like throwing people into the show. As a real theater kid, I mean, obviously, I don't know if that would happen, but I feel like in high school, when the stakes are so high, literally anything can happen. And so it does, I feel like, capture that moment of like, this is serious, this is theater, and this is art, and we'll do whatever we have to make the show go on. So I do love that aspect of the show.
Carlos even almost had a moment on stage. You had to put on, who were you going on for? I can't even remember.
He went on for Chad.
You went on for Chad. That's right. Yeah. So, gosh, he had to go in, which I guess you'd probably know at least the dances pretty well, your character.
Yeah.
And the closest real life situation I've ever come to that was, don't ask me why I remember the date, but I do. December 10th, 1999. I was going to see Bernadette Peters for the first time on Broadway in Annie Get Your Gun. And I remember sitting in the audience, I believe it was the Marquee Theater, and I remember like the show wasn't starting, and it got to be like half hour past start time, and the show hadn't started yet, and all of a sudden we get a loudspeaker announcement of the actor that normally plays so-and-so is stuck on the subway, so so-and-so will be taking that person's place until they get here, and then so-and-so will go back to being so-and-so, and so-and-so will jump back into the original role. And it was just like, what? Is this even real?
Wow.
And then I was like, is Bernadette here? Good, we're fine, no problem.
Then nothing else mattered.
And strangely enough, 2 seats to my right was Victor Garber, who years later Victor Garber and Bernadette Peters would be performing together in Hello Dolly on Broadway.
I didn't know he was in that.
He took over the role. Oh gosh, what's the actor's name from Frasier? Not Kelsey Grammer.
David Hyde Pierce or something.
Yes, David Hyde Pierce. He took over the role that he was playing. So they did it together for a little while. So yeah, I got to ask you, of course, I'm sure you had numerous fantastic directors, but one name popped out to me as I was watching, because your eyes were amazing. I love that. This is super nerdy, but I love Growing Pains. Huge Growing Pains fan. You don't even know what that is, do you?
Joanna Kearns.
Joanna Kearns.
Oh my God.
Any great Joanna Kearns story, because I was just like, Maggie Seaver on Growing Pains. I was like, oh, how lovely that she, I think, did 4 episodes.
Joanna Kearns is a goddess. And like oh my God, we love her so much, but she'll teach you so much in 3 minutes about television. It's kind of crazy. And it's just like all like within, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like giving an actor a suggestion on a line and then giving them a thought to think about, but then it's also technical. So she'll say like, and make sure to turn this way so you get more camera time for your face. And like, when you're turning this way, can you like pivot a little more so we get to see your face? So she's always looking out for the actor, which I mean, oh my God, I just love her. I'm trying to think of a good Joanna Kearns story. She did come back to direct a few episodes for this past season.
Oh, good.
And she was just like, it was the masks for her, the shield. She was always forgetting her face shield. So like, come in and like on the mic, they'd be like, Joanna, your shield. And she'd be like, oh my shield. So that's like kind of my most recent memory with Joanna. But she is awesome.
Oh, good. I am so glad to hear that, and so happy to see she works quite a bit. I was at a TV taping for some multicam sitcom. I can't remember which one, but she was directing that. I'm like, she works. She did Pretty Little Liars for a while. I feel like I see her name pop up quite a bit, and I'm just always delighted when I see her name pop up, and even more delighted now that you say she's the lovely person.
Oh my God, she's awesome.
Awesome. Now, before season 1 was even released, you got renewed for a second season, and they released a video showing your reactions. Disney released it. And you know, according to the video, you guys were being told that you were going to see a new trailer for season 1. Did you have any suspicion at that point that they were going to be telling you that you got a second season?
No idea. We were, of course, after we were wrapping up the first season, we were like, maybe they'll tell us at the cast party, and like maybe it'll be like a moment. And so like anytime anyone would like get up to make some sort of like thank you speech, it was always like, this is it. And then like nothing ever happened. So then when we were doing that press tour, and I think that was like the beginning of it, it was just like no one was expecting it. It was also so early in the morning that we were like, most of us were asleep. So it was kind of crazy that we were just like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's not super typical to get renewed before it was over a month, I think, before the first season even got released at all. So that was pretty awesome. There was a second season tease for sure during the first season where Miss Jen goes, "Wait till you see what I picked for the spring musical." So there's definitely a little bit of that. So maybe a little bit of an inkling, but that's pretty, I thought it was really smart of them to do it the way they did, because they didn't do it like, oh, next school year. They're like, next season, same students, nobody's graduating. So it can be the same cast. What grade is your character in?
Carlos is a sophomore.
Okay, great. So you have at least 2 more years than you. Fantastic.
Crossing everything, yeah.
Well, some characters are juniors, and I think maybe even some seniors. So some of them might be graduating. Do we have a graduation ceremony at the end of season 2? Can you say? I don't even know.
I don't think so. Because we pick up right. We don't go to the end of the school year. I don't think we pick up like right after, like a few days after opening night from the first season, and I think we go until the end of the show.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the first season, did they perform the show like right before Christmas? We get a Thanksgiving episode, and then y'all do the show. So it's right before Christmas break.
Yeah. So when we come back for the beginning of the season 2, which is Something in the Air, that's our opener. I think we are just now going on Christmas break.
Oh, okay, cool. And of course, now we know it's been released that the spring musical you guys are doing is Disney's Beauty and the Beast. But I gotta know, if you could pick any Disney musical, which one would you have chosen?
Ooh, okay. So I know it would have been Beauty and the Beast, but I know it's not like an official Disney musical, but I was really hoping it'd be like Into the Woods or something.
Oh, yes. Which you've done, right? You've played Jack before?
I have, like many, many years ago.
There are giants in the sky.
I don't even remember it.
When you're way up high and you look below at the world you left and the things you know, little more than a glance is enough to show you just how small you are. I was obsessed with Into the Woods as a kid. Like, that show and Little Shop of Horrors were the 2 shows that if anybody was doing a production of it, I went and saw it. Like, I loved it. But nice. So it is kind of Disney Family now, you're right. But for me, I would love to see y'all do Newsies. I know that would be a little problematic for the girls, but I also think that Miss Jen or somebody could work their magic. Listen, we had, cross-gender performances in the first season. Why not a bunch of news girls? We can do it.
I love that.
Oh, so much fun. But yes, you're doing Beauty and the Beast. I do have a question, though. In the second episode of season 1, Nene says she's talking about how she got into theater and how she had never been a lead before. Do you know where I'm going with this?
No.
Okay. Nene says they were doing Beauty and the Beast, and the old drama teacher asked me to be a fork. After that, I was the back of a cow and gypsy. So that means that the school did Beauty and the Beast just like a year or 2 before. And a lot of these same kids would have been in that production. So is there any reference to this in season 2, to the fact that the school had like just done this show? Or are they just like, nobody's paying that much attention? And clearly I am.
No, I kind of forgot about that. And I think it is addressed. I think we explain it.
Okay. Well, that's actually great to hear, because I am all for continuity. And when I was rewatching, knowing Beauty and the Beast was coming up, I was like, wait a sec, she just did it? How are they doing it again? But I love it. Pandemic aside, what was it like returning to shoot season 2? Like, was there a different vibe since you already knew, it wasn't new to y'all anymore. Y'all have relationships with each other at that point. How different is it going into a second season?
It wasn't much different when we got back at the very beginning, pre-COVID, because we finished the show. We had like a few months off, and then we went right into the press tour, and that was like a few months. So we had been doing that for a while. So we had been together off and on, and then of course seeing each other outside of work and stuff. So when we went back, it was like there was nothing missed. And then of course, like COVID happened. So then going back and returning to a completely different, set, that was an adjustment. But for the most part, I think everyone has remained the same.
I wasn't really sure, honestly, if you guys had started shooting before or after pandemic. So you started shooting before and then you had to basically go home.
We got the first 2 episodes done and we were in the middle of the 3rd episode and when we just got shut down.
How was Utah in general, pandemic-wise? I didn't pay attention since you were there. Were like their numbers out of control, do you know, or?
Well, the nice thing about Utah is that no one is stacked on top of each other like they are in like Los Angeles or New York. So there is so much room and also just like land. So if you wanted to like go for a hike or go to the park or something, like even if there was a lot of people, you would still be like very distant from everybody. So they, I like every major city, they went through their ups and downs, but it was a lot chiller. I actually stayed in Utah the entire time.
Oh, wow.
I came back to LA for the first 6 weeks when we got shut down. And then I had to like take care of like leases and stuff. So I went back to Utah and then I was like, I think I'm just going to stay here.
It is funny because I had gone to back Northeast, Massachusetts, New Hampshire during the pandemic to visit family. And it was so different than being in LA. Yeah. Like it was weird how different it was because it was like serious lockdown in LA. And
yeah, it was scary. Like standing outside in a line to get into Trader Joe's was like, it was like, this feels like apocalyptic.
It really did. It was very, very, very strange and didn't feel like real life, but sadly it was. Luckily, we're at the end of a tunnel. Get vaccinated. There we go.
Yeah. So, like, now that I think of it, it was such a great summer because it was me and then Joe and then Julia. So we had all stayed out there and we just like hung out all summer. So that's like looking back, it was fun. But at the time, it was like obviously so scary of like, when are we gonna go back to work? Do we have jobs? Like I wouldn't want to relive that moment, but I'll look back at it and like think that was a fun summer.
That's cool. Now, we've seen that season 2 will have some nice additional cast. We heard about Andrew Barth Feldman becoming part of the show, but I did notice on IMDb that Miss Jen is only credited for 12 episodes total. So does that mean that she's not in most of season 2?
Miss Jen?
Yes.
That must be like a weird...
Okay, it's an error? IMDb... Error.
Yeah, you know how like IMDb can be kind of slow on updating things and stuff.
Well, you got like 20 or 21 episodes on there or something.
Oh.
Miss Jen is listed as 12, and I was like, wait a second, what? This is heartbreaking.
No, she doesn't go anywhere.
Great. Well, season 1 does end with the principal saying, we finally figured out who started the fire. It was the 2 of you. And I was like, oh my gosh, does she get fired now? Very stressful. Very stressful. So we've seen little bits of, what we can expect from season 2. And I'm happy to say in the previews, it looks like you're in the show as Lumiere, perhaps?
Perhaps.
Although there is a French student coming in, so maybe but for a little bit at least, it looks like, you must have auditioned for the show.
Yes, I think that's one of the fun things about Carlos's story this year is that he takes the leap to audition for the show. And so it was fun to get to see how he handles all of that.
Now, one of the cool things about working on a Disney Plus series is that it can go way beyond the TV screen. I want to know about some of these things you've done. Obviously, we've talked about the D23 Expo, but can you tell me about performing on the Disney Parks Magical Christmas Day Parade on ABC in 2019 at Disneyland? Because that's like a dream.
Oh my gosh. That is a literal, like, almost you have to really stop to think if it's actually happening. Because at the time, it really does feel like another day at work. You're just like, okay, great. We're performing this routine that we've had. And it just happens to be in the middle of Disneyland. And there just happens to be, they're filming it and there's people watching. So it kind of feels like a fever dream, but it was really fun to watch that with my family on Christmas morning. And I mean, that's when you feel the impact, like when you're back home in your small town and your parents are like, ah. That's when I'm just like, oh yes, that was an awesome opportunity.
It is weird because like in phenomenal moments like that, it just feels surreal. Or like you, it sounds like you guys were put through a marketing whirlwind, a press tour whirlwind. So I honestly, for a moment when I was asking you, I thought I saw on your face where you were like, oh my gosh, did we even do that? Because I was like, and I would totally get it if you had forgotten even doing it. But it's those moments of seeing it with your family or just seeing like the finished product that you're like, holy crap, I just did that. Like, that's insane.
Yeah. And I prefer it that way. Like, I would rather have realize how, like, the same thing with D23 is realizing how big of a deal it is after it's done. Cause I don't want to give myself an anxiety attack trying to think about how many people are actually going to watch this.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. Like I agree it's good and healthy not to be thinking about that at the moment. But at the same time, I'm like, no, live in this moment. Like, I hate to think that I missed the moment because I was so preoccupied with the business side of it or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand that too. But I think it's when you're there, it really is like summer camp. That's kind of like what I compare this whole experience to all the time. Because you're there and you're giggling and you're laughing. And then you're kind of just hanging out with everybody. And you just so happen to do a performance. But yeah, no, I get it. But I don't know. It's a crazy experience.
Now, did you get to rehearse that in Disneyland after hours, or were you just in a space somewhere and then came to the park?
I think we were in the regular Disney rehearsal rooms. They have rehearsal rooms on property. So I think we were just in one of those. And I think it was just all spacing. They said, you're just going to come down. This is the amount of space you have and don't fall through the train tracks. And so you're just oh, hey.
Oh, that's hilarious. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't you, before all of this High School Musical, the series stuff went down for you, were you not performing in a theme park?
I was performing at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter here in Hollywood.
I mean, what a crazy Cinderella story to think you're performing in a theme park. I mean, it's insane. Obviously, listen, you're an actor, you'd done work, you'd auditioned a ton, but I mean, this was obviously a life-changing gig for you. So you're going from performing in a theme park, which, it's a gig, but it's not a dream, probably, to a TV series, to then performing in a theme park again, but as the cast of a TV show. Oh my gosh, crazy.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh, I did. I think that's amazing.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. I mean, yeah, I think it's just what you said. It's that perfect Cinderella story of it's your gig, it's your day job. And then, something comes along and completely shifts everything, of course, for the better.
Yeah. Now, High School Musical, the series, of course, between season 1 and season 2, you guys didn't just go away. You did a fun little High School Musical, the holiday special, where you got to sing Feliz Navidad. How did that come about? Was that kind of a COVID thing where they're like, hey, we need new material and we need to figure out something that we can shoot? Or was that something you knew was going to be coming?
I think it was a mixture of both. Our showrunner, Tim Federle, has so many different ideas and things that he wants to do for us that live outside of what we do on the show. So he's always trying to think of other ways to basically just get us out there and promote us, which I think is just so nice. But I think it was also, and this is, of course, just speculation. I don't know if it was something that was pre-planned, but I think the timing of everything, it worked out fine because we had been so the show would have aired by at that point, and I think they just wanted something, and I think it was the perfect thing to have.
Yeah, because the second season would have essentially premiered a year later, November 2020, right?
Yeah, it was, we were supposed to follow the season, so right when the holiday season starts in the real world, we were also following along, but of course now things got to sit.
You're like, wow, now we're just happy to be on the service. That's cool though that they kept you alive that way. Another way was the social media. You guys are doing some really fun things in character on the High School Musical, the series social media. And like, how does that work? Is there a crew, or are they literally like, hey guys, shoot this thing on your phone?
There is a crew. It is kind of crazy. And again, all filmed during the time of COVID. So of course, like the safety precautions were through the roof, but we got a camera and costumes delivered to our door, and all the crew was back, I think, in Los Angeles, and it was all over Zoom, and, you know, we just did everything in your living room.
Those have been so much fun to watch, and it really has kept the show alive in a time where I honestly can't believe it's been like over a year since that first season. That's so wild.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy to think about, but honestly, thankful to the fans who have really kept the hype up this entire time. I mean, I can't believe it's been a year and a half and they're still, you know, so invested, which is more than what you can ask for.
Yeah, now before I let you go here, I want to know, is there anything you can tell me about season 2? Anything that you're most excited for people to see, or anything you can say without getting yourself in trouble?
Without getting myself in trouble, I would say... Or
get yourself in trouble if you'd like. I'm fine with it.
Just like Carlos is not in the next season. It's like played by a different actor. I would say there is something exciting and something I'm so excited for people to see in every single episode. From episodes 1 through 12, there is some sort of staple or message or song or performance that I think is going to be so worth it. And I believe that even though it took so long to make, like, no corners were cut. Like, it is the exact same show that you want to watch, but it's also like elevated on this like whole new, you know, second season hype. So I'm just so excited for people to see it. I think people are going to freak out.
Is most of the music from Beauty and the Beast, or are we still going to get some new original songs from the cast as well?
I think it's like a mixture of all the things. We do have a lot of original numbers, and then we, of course, have covers of Beauty and the Beast, which are beautiful. To hear this cast sing these songs, and to see the way they fit in the show, I think it's done so beautifully.
That's awesome. Do you have a favorite song from High School Musical, the series, or the movies, or anything? We're All in This Together is just like one of the catchiest darn songs on the earth.
We're All in This Together. I still bop too. That is a bop. Status Quo is a bop. Fabulous. I Want It All. And then from our show, like Born to Be Brave, I really loved. Wondering, All I Want. That soundtrack's a bop too. I haven't listened to it in a minute. Maybe I should go back.
I love the song that Nene wrote. What's the I Love You song? I kind of don't.
Oh, I think I kind of know.
Yeah, I think I kind of know. Such a fun song.
You better sing, Jeff. Okay.
So much fun. Well, is there anything that you want to plug outside of High School Musical, the series? Although, what should it be called? High School Musical, The Beauty and the Beast, the series?
High School Musical.
The new title, the current title really doesn't make sense if you think too hard about it, right?
Oh, no, I feel like it does. So High School Musical, it's us putting on a musical, the musical, because sing outside
the Beauty and the Beast musical. But High School Musical, the musical, is a thing.
Yeah. I feel like it makes sense.
All right.
Right? Because it's like High School Musical, it's not just like High School Musical. It's like any High School Musical.
Okay.
It's a musical because we sing whenever like we feel compelled to, right?
So maybe High School Musical, a musical, the series.
No, we can't change you. I can't get used to the new title.
I get it. Listen, anybody who has to type out this title on any reports or anything, I feel bad, but I think High School Musical, the series is the most absurdly awesome title of a show ever. I want to see, honestly, I want to go to Disneyland and see High School Musical, the series, the baseball cap, High School Musical, the series, the t-shirt. I want the full name printed on everything, and I would totally wear it because it's just ridiculously funny. And they know it, obviously. I love it even when they give the title of the episode. It'll be like High School Musical, the series, and then the name of the episode title will pop on the screen, and
it's just never ending.
It's just so wordy. I love it. I keep saying I want High School Musical, the series, the parade float. This needs to be a thing. Yeah.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
In any case, is there anything you'd like to plug beyond the second season of your series? Are you working on any independent projects or anything?
So not independent of High School Musical, but still through Disney. Some fun stuff coming up, and I don't know if it's announced yet. But
I don't think so.
Fun stuff. I'm excited.
All right. Well, that's a bit of a tease there. I hadn't heard anything about that. All right. One final question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What team?
Wildcats.
What team?
Wildcats.
What team?
Wildcats. Get your head in the game.
Frankie, you've been a delight, and thanks for playing along with this nerdiness that I created here for you. Thank you so much for coming on Disney Coast to Coast. This has been awesome.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you all enjoyed today's conversation. Don't forget that you can catch Season 2 of High School Musical, the musical, the series, on Friday, May 14th, 2021, only on Disney+. On the last couple of episodes of Disney Coast to Coast, it was the return of Primetime at the Parks, celebrating TV sitcoms that shot episodes in the Disney parks, as well as a conversation about the new additions coming to the Disney Wish cruise ship. In next week's episode, tune in for conversations about the latest Disney news, including this new Muppets Haunted Mansion project. The easiest way to make sure you don't miss any of the magic is by subscribing to Disney Coast to Coast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Wherever you search, don't forget, it's Disney with a Z, Coast to Coast. Help ensure more free episodes of the podcast and gain rewards by joining the DCTC community at patreon.com/DisneyCTC. And don't forget to leave a voicemail at 818-860-2569 to share your thoughts on today's conversation and the chance to be heard on a future episode. Once again, that's 818-860-2569, or find the number in this episode's description along with a link for some free gifts from me to you. Other than that, folks, have a magical day. Bye!
Thanks for listening to Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.
Disney Coast to Coast is produced and hosted by Jeff DePauli. Learn more about the podcast and become a supporter at DisneyCoastToCoast.com. This podcast is part of the DePodcast Network. Learn more about this show, plus find more quality and entertaining podcasts at DePodcastNetwork.com. That's DEPodcastNetwork.com.